about how this helped me to achieve my own success. Now, this was the first book that I wrote 12 years ago. This book is called I'm Gifted, So Are You. How many of you have seen this book before? Wonderful, right? It's translated to Vietnamese as well. Okay? Now, I wrote this book 12 years ago to launch my career in Singapore, because at that time I was nobody. Nobody knows me in Singapore. So, I wrote this book when I was in the university. I was still studying, about to graduate. Why did I write this book? Those of you who know a bit about my history, you know that when I was young, I was a lousy student. I was lazy, I had no motivation, I failed many of my exams. And in Singapore, I ended up in one of the worst schools in Singapore. And then at the age of about 13 years old, I decided to change my life. I decided to wake up. And I attended a lot of seminars, just like you. I read many books, just like many of you. And when I attended the seminars and read the books, I got inspired by other people. We must always be inspired by other people. So I got inspired. And at 13 years old, I said, I want to change my life. I want to be a success. I want to be number one. Okay? So I started studying very hard. And from the bottom of the school in Singapore, I became one of the top students in Singapore. I went to the National University of Singapore and became one of the top students. So at that time, I was inspired. I said, hey, I want to write a book to teach other students how to succeed. I want to write a book to teach other students how to be a top student. So that was why I wrote the book. Now, here's the problem. After I wrote the book, it's called a manuscript. Right? Now, I knew that it was a good book. I knew it would help people. But the problem is, I have got no track record. I've got no credentials. At that time, I did not even have a degree. So who will read my book? I'm a nobody. I'm so young. I was only about 24 years old. Who will read my book? So I knew that I had to get a good publisher to promote the book. A good publisher that would give me the credibility. Yeah? So I took the manuscript and I went around to find a publisher. I went to the famous publishers, like Simon & Schuster. You know what they said to me? They said, we're not interested in your book. I said, fine. Went to another publisher, called Prentice Hall. They looked at the book, they said, I don't think your book will succeed. There's no market for a book. We're not interested. So I went to another publisher, went to another publisher, went to another publisher. I even went to a publisher called Penguin Books. There's a publisher called Penguin Books. And they even said to me, I'm sorry, but your book will not be successful. I thought, my God, even the bird doesn't want me. Okay, how to succeed, right? I didn't give up. I went on and on and on. And I was rejected by more than 10 publishers. No one would give me a chance. They say, you're too young, you've got no experience, no one will read a book. So eventually, one day, one publisher saw the manuscript. And he said, wow, this is interesting. And they called me up, they said, you know, Mr. Khoo, we want to publish a book. I was so excited. And this company that decided to do it is called Oxford University Press, which is a publishing company in Singapore. So I said, oh my God, wow, Oxford University Press, such a good brand name. I said, with their brand and my book, you'll be a bestseller. You'll be successful, right? So I was so excited. So I went back to my school in the university, and I told all my friends, I said, you know what, Oxford is publishing my book. I will be a best-selling author, right? So I thought, sure to be successful. Now, the year was June 1998. In June 1998, my book was supposed to be launched in all the bookshops in Singapore. I was so excited. Okay? 1 week before that, I couldn't sleep. Right? Because I had all these visions, I had all these fantasies. I imagine when I go to a bookshop, I see my book on the display, bestseller. I imagine my book everywhere. I imagine people queuing up to buy the book. I imagine I sign autographs. I imagine people take pictures, you know. Well, I was so excited. I said, wow, you know, I'm going to be a best-selling author, like Anthony Robbins or whatever, right? Guess what? it did not happen. Let me tell you what happened. In June 1998, on the day of the book launch, I went to the bookshop. Yes, I went to the bookshop and I walked inside waiting to see my book. I walked in and I looked. I couldn't find my book anywhere. And so I called the publisher. I said, excuse me, isn't the book being launched today? They said, yes. I said, I don't find the book anywhere. They said, where are you? I said, I'm in Borders. You know Borders? Borders is one of the most famous bookshops in USA, also in Singapore. It's the biggest bookshop, Borders. And I said, I'm in Borders. And they said, oh, I'm sorry, but your book is not selling there. I said, why not? It's a new book. Why isn't the big bookshop taking my book? They say, Mr. Adam, you must understand. You are a first-time author. You have got no experience. You have got no track record. The big bookshops will not give you the space to put your book. I said, where's my book? They said, only the small bookshops will take your book. Small bookshops? Yeah, the lousy bookshops. So they said, okay, at least it's selling somewhere. I said, where? So they gave me the name of some bookshop very far away, which I never heard of before. I said, okay, fine. I traveled all the way there to this small bookshop in Singapore. I went inside, and I looked. I still couldn't find a book. Not even in a small bookshop. So I went to the person in charge, and I said, excuse me, do you have this book, I'm Gifted, So Are You? She said, ah. I said, I'm gifted, so are you. She said, I don't know. See yourself. So I went in there, I checked. And after 20 minutes, I found my book. 4 copies. 4 copies. And it was not even displayed on the shelf. You know where it was? It was on the floor. It was right on the floor. Here. It was not displayed this way, it was this way. You know? And it was stacked on top of a lot of other books. So I looked and I said, my book! It's on the floor! Who can find the book? Right? So I said, who can find the book? So I was really upset. I was really angry. So I called my publisher. And I said to my publisher, I said, hey, why is it you are not marketing the book? You see, as a good publisher, what should they do? They should promote the book, right? They should have advertisements, they should have posters, they should have author signing. They did nothing. And I said, why are you not marketing the book? And you know what they said to me? They said, Mr. Adam, you must understand. At Oxford University Press, we have got no marketing budget. We have got no marketing budget. I said, why? They said, because normally we only publish dictionaries. We only publish dictionaries. I said, huh? You only do dictionary? Oh, we also do encyclopedia. And they said, we don't normally do your kind of books. So we have no marketing budget. I said, but I thought Oxford University is a very big company. I said, yes, we are big. In London. Singapore, small, no budget. So I said, but if you don't promote the book, who can find the book? They said, I'm sorry, there's nothing we can do. So how did I feel? How did I feel? I felt like a what? I felt like a victim, right? I said, it's unfair. I wrote a good book. This is my dream. This is my first book. But no one can find the book. The bookshop will not take my book. They're not promoting the book. So I got really upset. 1 month passed, 2 months passed, 3 months passed. Did the book sell? Book didn't sell. Why? Because no one could find the book. And my friends came up to me and they said to me, Adam, I thought you are a best-selling author. I said, shut up. It's not my fault. I wrote a good book. It's a stupid publisher. It's their fault. I blame. And I started what? Blaming and complaining. So as long as I blame and complain, did the book sell? Nothing happened. So one day, a friend of mine, he said to me, he said, Adam, your book will never sell unless you take responsibility. I said, what do you mean take responsibility? Hello, I'm the writer. I did my job. I'm not the seller. It's not my responsibility. He said, yes. But Adam, it is your name on the book. It is your book. And no one cares more about your book than yourself. So from there, I thought, I said, you know what? For things to change, I must change first. So I said, okay, if they will not sell the book, I will sell my own book. So you know what I did? I went to the bookshops myself. I went to all the bookshops in Singapore. And I told them, will you put my book in the bookshop? They said, no. We've got other books. Why should we put your book? I said, you know what? If you want to achieve something, there's always a way to do it. Now, I thought to myself, you know bookshops? Bookshops, they always like to get customers to come in. They like to have events. They like to have activities, right? So I said, okay. I talked to the manager. I said, I tell you what. I will do a free talk for your bookshop. Free talk. Don't pay me. Free talk. And if I do the talk, people will come to listen, right? People come to the bookshop and you put my book. Is that okay? What did they say? They said, okay. So I made things happen. I was proactive. So from that day onwards, every week, I will do many book talks. I'll go to all the bookshops in Singapore. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and I will talk about the talk. Right? And people get to know the book. And I also went to a lot of the schools in Singapore. Schools to do free talks for the students to promote the book. And I even printed my own flyers, like flyers, right? So I used my own computer. I designed my own flyer that says, I'm gifted, so are you. How to be a top student. And every day after school, I'll go to the train stations, the bus stations, and I'll stand in front and I'll give away the flyers. I say, come to my book talk. My name is Khoo. My book is I'm Gifted, so are you, right? Went out there, promoted the book. And the next thing I did was something that's never been done in Singapore before. Let me tell you what I did. I decided to advertise my book in the newspapers. Now, no one has done it before. Most of the time, when you see people advertise books in the newspaper, who advertises? The bookshop or the publisher. The author will never advertise his own book, right? I say, I will advertise my own book. Now, are advertisements cheap? No. One advertisement this size in Singapore is about $2,000 US. One advertisement. I decided to put 4 advertisements. It's 8,000 US. Now, at 24 years old, that was my life savings. For many years, I worked as a waiter. I worked as a salesman. And I saved my money, for 20 years. This is my savings. And I decided to take all my savings and put it into the advertisement. And one of my friends, who is an experienced author, he has written many books in Singapore. He said, Adam, what you're doing is very stupid. I said, why stupid? He said, because Adam, it's not your job to sell the book. It's the publisher's job. I said, but if I don't sell it, they won't sell it. It's my book. He said, Adam, you must understand. Even if you sell the books, you will not make back your money. Let me explain why. You know when you buy a book that I wrote, I get paid a royalty. Right? When you buy my book, I get paid a royalty, right? Do you know what's the royalty, by the way? The royalty that I get paid is 10%. Not of the sales price of the book. It's 10% of the profits of the publisher. 10% of the profits of the publisher. Which means my book in Singapore sells at $28. When people buy the book, you know how much I get? $1. I get $1. So who makes most of the money? Who makes most of the money? The publisher and the bookshop. And my friend says, Adam, Singapore is very small. Singapore is a very small market. In Singapore, an average book sells about 2,000 copies. Average book, average. He said, even if your book is a good book, it will only sell, bestsellers sell 5,000 copies in Singapore. 5,000. He said, 5,000. multiplied by $1. How much is that? $5,000, right? So I said, Adam, you put in $8,000 advertisement, you get $5,000, you lose money. Stupid! Stupid! But you know what I said? I said to myself, even if I lose money now, it's okay. Why? I think in the future, I think long term, I think if my book becomes successful, I become famous in Singapore. I become famous, I will build my business to be more successful. I said the book is only a marketing. It's only a tool for marketing. So I decided to spend the money. I took out the $8,000, and I advertised it everywhere. And people got to know about my book, right? And I can tell you that when you do the talks in the bookshops, it is not easy. See, like today, all of you come down, you're sitting down listening to me, right? When you do book talks, you talk in a bookshop, people don't come to listen to you. They come and buy books. So you have to what? Get their attention, right? So when I first talk in a bookshop, I'm talking. No one is listening to me. I'm talking to the air. And I talk and talk and talk until finally people buy book. It's very, very difficult, right? And so slowly, the book started selling more and more as it became more popular. But you know, Borders in Singapore, the #1 bookshop in Singapore, they will still not take my book. They will not take my book. And you know why? They said, we do not take local authors. We only take international books. From America, from London, Singapore. We will not take your book. But I knew that I have to get my book into Borders because it's the #1 bookshop. And I said, there must be a way to do it. There must be a way. So I thought of a way. You know what I did? I said, let's make things happen. Now, at that time, I have got many students in Singapore. And I told them, I said, I need your help. Each of you, help me to call Borders 10 times a day. And every time you call Borders, ask my book, I'm Gifted, So Are You. And I had a few hundred students. And every day they will call Borders every 5 minutes. And they ask, do you have the book, I'm Gifted, So Are You? Do you have the book, I'm Gifted, So Are You? Do you have the book, I'm Gifted, So Are You? Do you have the book, I'm Gifted? I think Borders was thinking, who's Adam Khoo? Everybody wants to buy his book. And so they started ordering the book. And that's how I got the Borders, right? And 6 months later, I opened up the newspapers and I got a shock of my life. Because in Singapore, every Sunday, they have the bestsellers list. They rank all the books in Singapore from the #1 to the #10 book. And when I opened up the newspaper, I got a shock. My book was ranked #1 in Singapore. Can I have the slides? Thank you. And the slides, please, slides. Okay? And I was featured in the newspaper. And this was the newspaper article I was featured in. Where at the time I was a student. And as a student, I topped the bestsellers list in Singapore. And if you look at the list, you can see my book, I'm Gifted, So Are You, #1. And have you heard of the book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People? Very famous book. That was #4. Have you heard of this book, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus? That was #6. Have you heard of Lee Kuan Yew? Lee Kuan Yew was our Prime Minister. He wrote a book, and my book also beat his book. So after that, the book became a bestseller. And did we sell 5,000 copies? No. We sold in a few years, we sold roughly about 60,000 copies. And after we sold all the copies, later, I wrote my 2nd book, my 3rd book, my 4th book, my 5th book, my 6th book, my 7th book, and today I've got 11 books. And the books are published internationally. And they're all now bestsellers. And recently my books were also translated into Vietnamese. Right? And they're sold right now in Vietnam. And in Vietnam, we have sold 35,000 copies in the last 2 years. Right? And not only that, but in Singapore, Borders, the #1 bookshop. This is Borders. Okay? Okay, this is a bestseller since I was #1 there. And this is a national newspaper, #1 over there. And in Borders, this is Borders, if you can't see from these Borders. And I was ranked #1 in Borders as well, the entire Borders bookshop. Now, why do I tell you this story? I tell you this story to share with you a very important lesson I've learned. And the lesson is this. Very often in life, when we got dreams, we got goals, many people will not give us a chance. Many people will not give us a chance. And if people don't give us a chance, don't complain. Don't blame. Because if you do, nothing will change. But when people don't give you a chance, what do? You make your own chance. You make your own opportunities. You create your own opportunities. And many times in life, that to achieve things, there are things that must be done that is not our job. It's someone else's job. But we keep thinking it's someone else's job, it never gets done. Sometimes we just got to take action and do it and make it happen for ourselves. Does this make sense? Yeah? So I hope that you learn something from this lesson. Can I give you a little exercise to do? Exercise? Yeah? Because I believe if you just input, you don't really learn anything. You got to output as well. When you output, you learn even more. So I'm going to give you a little exercise, and during this exercise, please stay back and do the exercise. If you really have to go to the toilet, it's really urgent, run quickly and go. If not, stay here to do the exercise. Is that okay? Okay, so here's the exercise. And the exercise, I think, is on page 7. Page 7. Page 7. And I'm going to show you how to do this exercise. And I'll ask some of you to share what you have learned, yeah? Can I have the video over here? Okay. Video. Okay. Now, on page 7, you see 3 things, right? You see that? On the first column is what we call blame. The things we are blaming. We blame the customers, we blame our competitors, we blame our partner, we blame. And as long as we are here, our business can't change. We can't change. On the second column is what we call take charge. From blaming, how can we take responsibility? And the third column, it is called new actions. What are the new actions you can take to change the results? So let me give you an example. Every time I work with business owners, I work with entrepreneurs. Many business owners always blame this group of people. They always blame their staff. Isn't it true? They always blame their employees. They say, Adam, my business can be better if I got better employees. My business can be more successful if I got better employees. They say, Adam, my competitor, they got better staff. Why can't I get better staff? Why are my staff so lazy? And they blame the staff. They say my staff are lazy. When I first hire them, they are motivated. But after a while, they become lazy. How many of you find this to be true sometimes? That some of your staff are lazy? Any of you? Staff are lazy? Okay? Or they say, my staff, they are not motivated. Or they are not proactive. They are reactive. Okay? Let me ask you a question. As long as we blame our staff, will our business change? As long as we blame our staff, will our business change? Our business will never change. Right? Because if we blame our staff, remember then our staff are controlling our business. We are not controlling our business. So if we want to change our business, we need to take charge. We need to take responsibility. So as a boss, we must ask ourselves, how are we creating the situation? Why are my staff lazy? Why are they not motivated? How am I creating it? What are the decisions I'm making? What are the actions I'm taking that's creating this problem? So for example, how could a boss take charge? The boss could say, maybe they are lazy because I did not hire the right staff, right? I did not recruit the right staff. So maybe it's because of the way you recruit your staff. During the interview, you did not ask the right questions. You did not select the right person. Or it could be you selected the right person, but you did not do enough training. You did not train them. And that's why they do not perform, that's why they become lazy. Or it could be because you hire the right staff. You train them, but they are not motivated. Why? Because of the wrong way you pay them. The compensation. Let me give you an example, like in Singapore. In Singapore, I've got about 24 trainers, teachers. Yeah. Now, most of my competitors, they pay their teachers fixed pay. You know fixed pay? So they pay a fixed pay of, for example, they pay maybe fixed pay of 2,000 US dollars, fixed pay. So they work more, 2,000. They work less, 2,000. So what do? They work less. But my company is different. My company, I pay my trainers low fixed pay. I pay my trainers about $500. But I pay them commissions. I pay them commissions, I pay them training fees. So the more hours they train, the more they teach, the more money they get. They teach more, they earn more. They teach less, they earn less. And how much can they make? Unlimited. If they are a good trainer, they get a lot of customers, they can earn a lot of money. For example, in my business, I'm the chairman in my company, right? I'm the chairman. But you know some of my trainers, some of my teachers, they can earn more than me? Yes. If they train more hours, if they teach more, they can earn more than me. My trainers can also earn more than my CEO. So the way I do my business is very fair. We pay based on performance. We pay based on result. The person who gets the most result will get paid the most. So everyone is motivated. So that makes a difference. So the moment I take responsibility, I am creating the situation. Then I can take new actions. I can begin to do new actions. I can change the way I recruit people. Where I carefully select the right people to join my company. I won't choose anyone. I only choose people who do more than expected. I only choose people who are proactive. And when I hire people, I make sure what do? I do a lot of training. I train them to have the right mindset, to have the right skill set. And I make sure I pay them. So the more they work, the more money they earn. Right? So right now, how many of you have had a business partner before? How many of you have had a business partner before? Okay. How many of you have had a bad business partner before? How many of you have had a business partner who cheated you before? How many of you had a business partner who cheated you before? Oh, so many of you. You know what? So did I.
No.
So did I. Okay? And I give you an example. What happened was about 6 years ago, I've got this man who is a very good interior designer. He designs houses. Very good interior designer. And he's quite old. He's about 60 years old. And he's actually one of the top interior designers in Asia. He designed many of the banks, many of the hotels. And he read about me in the newspapers. So one day he called me up and he said, you know, Adam, I'm a very good designer, but I'm bankrupt. I've got no money, bankrupt. And he explained, he said, because last time my company, I built it to very successful. But then he told me, he said, my wife, take my money and run away with my director. Right? So they cheated me, and that's why now I've got no money. I said, Adam, I'm a very good designer. I'm a very good designer. I said, Adam, if you are my partner, we can make millions of dollars. Millions of dollars. Right? And he did the calculation for me, and he projected. He said, Adam, if we start the business, you put in the money, I will be the designer. Okay? And we can make so much money. And he showed me all the money we can make. Few 100,000, few million US dollars. So when I look at the money, I go, my eyes open. I'm very excited. I say, wow, okay. So I put in the money. I put in about $500,000 into the business. Do I know anything about interior design business? Nothing. But I thought it's okay. He's the interior designer. Let him run everything. So I don't look at the bank. I don't look at the business. He run everything. And so the business was running. And every month he called me. He said, Adam, business very good. We closed the sales. We got so much sales, so much sales, so much sales. So I was very happy. I said, good. Oh. Okay? And a few months later, what happened was, a customer called me. And he said, we hired the company to do the house, the interior design. We pay the company, but they don't do the house. I said, why? So I went to check with my accountant in the company. I said, why is it the customer we're not building a house after they paid the money? And the accountant said, we got no more money. I said, huh? What do you mean we got no more money? I thought there's very good sales. I thought I put in $500,000. They say, no, there's no sales. And later I found out that my partner, he has been taking out the money. Every month he takes out the money and he spends the money. And when a customer hires the company, when they put in the money, instead of using the money to build a house, he takes the money and he pays his old debts. He pays what he owes other people. And the next thing I knew what happened, the company had no more money. And many people started suing the company. Now that company has got two directors. I'm one director and my partner is one director. And what happened was my partner, eventually, he himself got bankrupt because the bank sued him. And in Singapore, when you are bankrupt, you cannot be a director. So he resigned as a director. So now the company has got how many directors? Me. And I'm now the only director of the company, and the people are all suing the company. So I had to go through my lawyers, and it was a very, very painful experience I went through. In the end, I lost a lot of money. And it affected my reputation as well. And after that, what happened? I said at first, it's not my fault. It's because of the partner is dishonest. The partner cheat my money, right? But later I told myself, if I blame him, then I will never learn the lesson. Next time, I'll continue to be cheated by other people. So instead, I take responsibility. I said, the reason I lose my money is because I was greedy. It's because before I make the company my partner, I did not check his background. I did not monitor the business. And that is why I lost money. So I began to take responsibility. Later I found out, by talking to many people in the design industry, that this man has cheated many other people. I'm not the first one. I'm the fifth one. He has cheated many businessmen. So I told myself, it is my fault. I did not do my research. I did not do my due diligence. So because of that experience, today am I a better businessman? Let me go on to share with you the next concept that has helped me a lot. And the concept is this, that we know in life things don't always go the way we want. Life doesn't always go the way we want. But we have a choice to let things control our emotions. Or we can control our own emotions. And there's a formula I'd like to share with you, which is this. And the formula goes, E plus R equals to O. Right? And what does this mean? I'll show you where it is on the notes in a while. Don't worry. I'll show you it's in the notes later. Yeah? So just take a look at this formula. And what does E stand for? E stands for event. Event. Okay, what's an event? An event is anything that happens to us. For example, if you're born in a poor family, that's an event. If you're born in a rich family, that's an event. You've got a good wife, that's an event. You've got a lousy wife, that's an event. The economy goes into a recession, that's an event. Your company wins business, that's an event. Your staff leaves your company, that's an event. So events are things that happen to us all the time. Some events can be good, and some events can be bad. Now, can we control every event that happens to us every day? Can we control every event that happens to us every day? Yes or no? No, we can't. Right? Like for example, imagine you're a windsurfer. You know windsurfing? As a windsurfer, can you control where the wind is blowing from? Can you control where the wind is coming from? You can't control the wind, right? So if you're windsurfing and the wind changes direction, and if you blame the wind, you say, stupid wind. Right? Can you control the wind? You can't control the wind, so why blame the wind? There's no point blaming something you can't control. But you can't control the wind. Can you control your sail? You can control your sail. The wind changes direction. And if we change our sail, we can still go in the direction we want to go. But you see, a lot of people in life, they believe that the event is what creates the outcome. They believe the event creates the outcome. So they believe, because I'm born in a poor family, so I got no money, I got no opportunity, that's why I'm poor. Or they believe that the economy is in a recession, so there's no customer, so that's why my company goes bankrupt. Or I got a lousy partner, I got a lazy partner, so my business will fail. A lot of people, they blame the event, right? People who are very successful, is it because they got all the good events? People who are very successful, is it because everything goes the good way, the way they want it to go? Yes or no? No. We know that some of the most successful people in the world, they go through the worst events. The worst things happen to them. They got the worst partners, the worst family, the worst economy, but they are still successful. Why? Because they believe the event does not affect my outcome. But what affects my outcome is the way I react or the way I respond to the event that affects the outcome. Everyone, let's say this together. Everyone say, respond. Respond. Okay? So out of 100%, thank you. Respond, right? Out of 100% of the outcome, 10% comes from the event. But 90% comes from the way that we respond. Now we can't change this. We can't change this. But can we change this? Can we control this? We can't control this. We can't control what happens in the outer world. But we have absolute control what happens in the inner world. So let me give you an example. How many of you have ever worked very hard on something before? You've worked very hard on a business, or you worked very hard on a relationship, but it failed. How many of you have experienced this before? All of us, right? All of us, right? Okay. So when you work very hard on something, you do your best and it fails. How do you feel? How do you feel? You feel angry? You feel disappointed? Do you feel happy? Do you feel motivated? Do you feel like giving up? Now, do we all feel the same thing? When all of us fail, we get a bad event, do we all feel the same thing? Do we feel the same thing? Who says yes? Who says no? The answer is no. We all feel differently, right? Depending on how we choose to respond. I give you an example. Let's say, for example, a person works very hard, but they lost the business. They lost the business. How will they feel? Depends. Some people, how will they respond? They will respond by saying, why? Why did this happen to me? Why am I so unlucky? Why am I so stupid? I'm such a failure. It's too difficult. I can never succeed. I'm giving up. Right? And if you respond this way, how do you feel? You feel like giving up and you will not take action. And what's the outcome? Will you succeed? You won't succeed. But some people, they go through that same failure. They lose the business, but they respond differently. They say, you know what? What can I learn from this? How can this make me a smarter businessman? How can this make me better than before? How can I learn from this? So next time, I can win a bigger deal than what I just lost. And if they respond this way, will they be more motivated to change and to take more action and get better results? Yes or no? Yes. So it depends on how you choose to respond. Let me share with you a story of a person I know who is very, very inspiring in Singapore. Can I go back to the slides? Okay. Let me tell you the story of this person. This person was featured on the front page of the newspaper in Singapore, and his name, he's the man in the center. He's the man in the center over here. This man, over here, the center. His name is Mr. Lim Yao Tong. And what happened was this man, many years ago, in his late 20s, when he was about 20 to 30 years old, in Singapore, he started a company called Emporium. And he worked very hard to build this company, Emporium, and he became one of the biggest shopping centers in Singapore. Right? One of the most famous shopping centers in Singapore. So last time, every time someone wants to buy something, they go to Emporium. Very famous. So he was a multi-millionaire. He was a successful businessman. But what happened? In the 1980s, as you know, Asia went into a very bad recession. And Singapore also went into a very bad recession. And he was hit with all the worst events. Singapore went into a recession, and many competitors from Japan, from America, from London, they came to Singapore. New shopping centers came. And his company did not change fast enough. His company did not improve. And people stopped coming to his company, to his shopping center. And after a few years, his business collapsed. His business went bankrupt. Can I go back to the slide, please? Go back to the slide. His business went bankrupt. And a few years after that, he himself was declared a bankrupt. He was declared a bankrupt, lost everything. And he was declared a bankrupt at the age of 72 years old. 72. Now, guess how much money he owed the bank? You know how much he owed the bank? He owed the bank about 60 million US dollars. He was 60 million US dollars in debt at 72 years old. Now, let me ask all of you a question. Imagine if you are 72 years old and you went bankrupt and you owed 60 million US. How will you respond? Most people, they'll say what? It's over. I'm too old. I'll never make it back. God, why do you do this to me? Why? Right? And they'll respond by saying what? I'd rather die. And they take the gun. But the amazing thing was this guy, Mr. Lim Yao Tong. Go to the slide again, please. This guy, Mr. Lim Yao Tong. Okay? He had what we call the winner's mindset. The winner's mindset. Everyone say winner's mindset. Let's say it together. Winner's mindset. One more time. Winner's mindset. He had the winner's mindset. What happened was when he lost everything, The reporters in the newspapers, they came to interview him. And they asked him, how do you feel? How do you feel, right? The last 30 years, all your money is all gone. You are lost all your money. How do you feel? You know what he said? He said, it's not gone. I'm still a millionaire. I'm still rich. They said, huh? Are you okay? Are you crazy? You're bankrupt. How do you mean you're rich? And he said, this man said, he said, my true wealth, my true riches is not how much money I have in the bank. My true wealth is not what is in a car, is in a house. He said, my true wealth is what is here. He said, my true wealth is my mindset, my ideas, my experience, my knowledge. He said, here I'm still a millionaire. And he said, they can take away my house, they can take my car, they can take all my money, but they cannot take my mindset. And he said, as long as I'm still a millionaire here, you know what? I will make it back here. And he said, at 72 years old, I will start all over again. I'll start all over again. And start from zero. Does he start from zero? Is it zero? Zero? No! Minus 60 million. Minus 60 million. So what do you do? He left Singapore. He went to Malaysia. He went to Brunei. And he started all over again. Now he had no money. But what did he do? He had the courage. He was proactive. He went out there to look for new investors. He went out there to borrow money from his friends. He started all over again. And 10 years later, at the age of 82 years old, what happened? He made back all his money. And he became a millionaire once again. So what's the lesson I want to share is this? That every time I read this article, I get very inspired myself. Because it reminds me that I should never ever give myself excuses. When I think I'm too old, hey, there are people older than me. When I think that I got no money, there are people who are worse than me. Right? But it is not our event. It is how we respond. That is what makes the difference. How many of you here think that you are lucky? You are lucky. Okay? Lucky, you are lucky. How many of you think you are not lucky? Okay, interesting. How many of you think that no matter how unlucky you are, there are other people who are more unlucky than you? There are other people who are more unlucky than you. If you think you're unlucky, there are people who are worse. And some of these people could be even more successful. Is that possible? Is that possible? Yes, how they choose to respond. Okay? How many of you feel that right now, when something bad happens to you, you respond in a way that makes you feel bad, that makes you feel lousy and you feel like giving up? Alright? How many of you want to learn how to control your response? You want to learn how to control the way you respond? Great. Let me teach you a formula. And this formula is on page 8. Page 8. Okay, go to page 8. And on page 8, now I'll need the camera. I need the slides from now on. Just focus on the slides. Okay. On page 8, you will see something like this. On page 8, right? You see, whenever something happens to us, we must learn to control our response. Because it is how we respond that will affect how we feel, what we do, and the outcome that we get. So, how do we respond? Let's learn how we respond. You see, whenever something happens to us, we always respond in 3 ways. 3 ways. How many ways? 3 ways. The first way that we respond is we always ask ourselves this question. We always ask ourselves, what do I focus on? You see, as human beings, we always talk to ourselves. As human beings, we always talk to ourselves in our mind, right? And what we say to ourselves affects our focus. So the first thing is, what do I focus on? So some people, when bad things happen to them, what do they focus on? They focus on this question. They ask themselves, why did this happen? Why did this happen to me? Right? And some people, they focus on this question. Who's to blame? Whose fault is it? And some people ask themselves this question, what have I lost? What have I lost? So imagine, that man was 72 years old, right? Mr. Lim. When he went bankrupt, when he lost all his money, imagine if every day he keep thinking, why did this happen to me? Why did this happen to me? Will he get an answer? No. If he keep asking, why did this happen to me? He will never find an answer. Imagine if he keep thinking, who's to blame? Who's to blame? Whose fault is it? The recession's fault. My competitor's fault. And if every day he focuses on, what have I lost? I lost all my money. I lost all my money. How will he feel? He'll feel negative, right? He'll feel lousy. And probably what will happen? He will give up. Now people who succeed, why? It's because they don't focus on the problem. They don't focus on what they lost. You know what they focus on? People who succeed, they focus on this question, what can I learn? That's the most important question. They keep thinking, what can I learn? Can we say this together? We say, what can I learn? What can I learn, right? Now, your brain is very interesting. When you ask your brain a question, your brain will find an answer. When you ask your brain a question, your brain will find an answer. Your brain is like Google. You know Google? Your brain is like Google. If you ask your brain, why am I stupid? Your brain will tell you all the reasons why you're stupid. But if you ask your brain, how can I be better? Your brain will find ways to be better. You must control what you say to yourself. So if you ask yourself, what can I learn? What can I learn? What can I learn? You know what? You will learn something. So that man, Mr. Lim, he asked himself, what can I learn? What can I learn? And you know what he learned? He learned that his business must keep improving. His business must keep changing. All competitors will take it away. That's what he learned. And he focused on the next question, which is, what do I have? You see, losers always focus on what they don't have, and they feel lousy. I don't have money, I don't have time, I don't have this, I don't have that. Winners always focus on what they have. So that man, Mr. Lim, he focused, what do I have? What do I have? He doesn't have money, but what does he have? He has mindset. Yes, he has got his mindset. He's got his experience. He's got his health. He's got his friends, right? And when he starts to focus on what he has, he begins to feel motivated. You gotta focus on what you have. And the final thing, he did not focus on what he lost. He focused on, how can I turn this around? How can I make the money back? How can I make the money back? So in other words, don't focus on the problem, focus on the solution. And when he begins to focus on it, he gets motivated. So the first thing is, focus on what you can learn, focus on what you have, and focus on how you can turn it around. The second way we respond is we ask ourselves this question, what does this mean? What does this mean? What does this mean? You see, the interesting thing is this. The same thing can happen to two people, but it means different things to them. Okay, let's imagine, one day, you are walking down the road. Okay? Walking down the road. And suddenly a tree fell, okay? And it missed you just by 1 second. So if you are too late, you die. But the tree fell and you did not die. You were saved by 1 second. Now if that happens to you, how do you feel? Okay. How many of you would feel lucky, like, oh, I'm so lucky, and you will go to the casino and gamble? Okay. How many of you would say, no, this is not luck? It's because God saved me. It's because I'm not meant to die. It's because I'm meant for greater things. And God helped me to be saved, so I can be making a difference in the world. And you feel inspired, and you go and make a difference. True? So, different people, they've got different meaning, right? I give you an example. It's like, for example, let's imagine you're married for 10 years. And one day, your wife or husband says to you, I'm going to leave you. I don't want you. Goodbye. What's the meaning? Some people say, oh my God, my wife leave me. It means no one will love me anymore. It means I'll be lonely the rest of my life. It means I'm useless, right? But some people, if the wife leaves them, they say, good. I find a better wife or better husband who loves me even more. It's a blessing, right? So is it good or bad? It depends on the meaning that you give to it. What is the meaning? So some people, when things happen to them, they see it as a curse. They see it as bad luck. But some people, they say it's not bad luck. It is a blessing in disguise. It's a blessing in disguise. Some people, when bad things happen to them, they think bad luck. But some people think it's not, it's a test. I'm being tested. Life is testing me. Or they believe God is testing me, if they believe in God. Okay? Some people, they see things as a loss. Other people, they see it as an opportunity. So what is the meaning you give? Losers always see things as a loss. Winners see things as an opportunity. What is the meaning you give? The third way we respond is we ask ourselves this question. What am I going to do? Can we say this together? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? Can we say this? Ready? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? Okay. So what do some people do? Some people, when bad things happen to them, they do nothing. Oops. Some people, they do nothing. Right? They just complain. But some people, when bad things happen to them, they will take action. But they take destructive action. They take negative action. They say, my wife leaves me, I will kill her. I'll kill her lover. Okay. But some people, they take creative action. They say, my wife leaves me, never mind, go. I find a better one. What is the action we take? True? So, for Mr. Lin, who is 72 years old, when he went bankrupt, what is the meaning he gave? He said, it is a test. It is a test, and he started to take new action. Let me show you one last thing, okay, before we take our lunch break in a while. Show you one last thing. So once again, let me ask you a question once again. How many of you think you are lucky? Who thinks you are lucky? Okay, more hands up. Who thinks you are not lucky? Right, again. No matter how unlucky you think you are, there are people who have got less than you. I'd like to show you another story of another man who has inspired me a lot as well. And this man, his name is Nick Vujicic. How many of you have heard of Nick Vujicic? Who's heard of Nick Vujicic? Who's not heard of Nick Vujicic? Who has not heard of this guy? Okay? Now this guy, he's an Australian. Yeah? And if you think that you have a lot of bad luck, this guy is worse. Because what happened was, when he was born, can I have the video here? When he was born, can I have the video over here? Video. Okay. When he was born with no arms and no legs. He's got no arms and no legs. And he's only got one foot with two toes. Right? Now, let me ask you this. If you were born this way, would you think you're lucky? Probably not, right? And he was born this way. And what happened was, the day he was born, and the nurses delivered him, the moment they saw him as a baby, they started crying. Can you imagine? Can you imagine a baby born with no arms and no legs? Yeah? And then the father who saw his firstborn son being born, he was so shocked. He was not a happy day. He ran out of the hospital and he threw up. And that was the day that he was born. Imagine the day you are born, your parents are not happy. Your parents are sad. It's a tragedy. But after he was born, the doctors told the parents, they said, your son has got no arms and no legs. Next time he'll never be able to stand. He'll never be able to walk. He'll never be able to go to school. He'll never be able to get a job. He has got no future. He's got no future. But after the parents accepted the fact, they say, you know what? He's still our son. We will still bring him up and love him like everyone else. And so when he was growing up, his parents encouraged him a lot. Right? They taught him to believe in himself. But was it easy for him? It was not easy. Imagine when he was in school, he had no friends. People looked at him and went, They thought he was a freak. Right? They threw things at him, they laughed at him. And at the age of 9 years old, he thought of only one thing. He thought of killing himself. Because he thought, what's the point of living? What's the point of having a life? I've got no future. Nobody will ever love me. Nobody will ever marry me. Why do I live? And one day, the mother went up to him. And the mother said, Nick, you're born without arms and without legs. Is it your fault? Is it his fault? No, same thing. If you are born poor, it is not your fault, right? If you're born rich, it's also not your fault. But the mom said, Nick, you have a what? You have a what? Choice. Can we say this together? Everyone say choice. You have a choice. Thank you. You have a choice. What's the choice? Can I go back to my slides? Back to my slides. He said, you have a choice of what you want to focus on. Or what you want to focus on. You see, at first, Nick, what did he focus on? In the past, he kept focusing on, why did this happen to me? Why this happened to me? And he focused on, who's to blame? Whose fault? God's fault. Make me like that. And he focused on what he lost. He said, I've got no arms, I've got no legs. Think about it. If you focus on the first three things, how would you feel? You feel like giving up, you feel negative, right? But the mom taught him, change your focus. Change your focus. And he began to focus on, instead, what can I learn from this? He asked her, what can I learn? And he found an answer. Remember Google? When he asked himself, what can I learn? He realized, you know what I can learn? I can learn how to do things without arms and legs. I can learn to do things without arms and legs. And he began to focus on, what do I have? He stopped focusing on what he doesn't have. He focused on, what do I have? And you know what he has? He said, I can talk. I can speak. It's a gift. I can see. There are people who are born blind. It's a gift. I can think. It's a gift. And when he began to focus on what he has, he began to get the confidence, the motivation. And he focused on, how can I turn this around? How can I turn the problem into an opportunity? But what's the most important thing? He changed the meaning. He changed the meaning. He changed the meaning. At first, when he's born this way, you know what he says? He says, it means I'm worse than other people. It means I got bad luck. It means I'm disabled. It means I'm just unlucky. But after that, he changed the meaning. He said, you know what this means? I'm not unlucky. He believes. God purposely made me this way. God made me this way to test me, to get me to inspire other people, to test my courage. That's what it means. He said it means I'm here to inspire the world. And the moment he saw himself as someone who is meant to inspire the world, he began to then focus on taking action. So what did he do? He began to have a vision of his life, to have goals. And he set 5 goals for himself. His first goal that he said, when I grow up, I want to become a millionaire. He said, I want to be a millionaire by the age of 30 years old. Can you imagine someone like him say, I want to be a millionaire with no arms and no legs? His second goal, he said, I want to go to the university to get a degree like everyone else. His third goal was to become a motivational speaker like Adam Khoo. Right? And his fourth goal was to write a book. Imagine writing a book without arms and legs. He writes a book with 2 toes, typing on the keyboard. And his last goal was to raise money for charity, to help people who are poor. And it was an amazing thing. By the age of 20, 26 years old, 28 years old, he has achieved every one of these goals. Today, Nick is a multi-millionaire. He's a multi-millionaire. How did he make his money? He's a property developer. He develops property. He's a stock investor. And he's a motivational speaker. He went to the university and got 2 degrees in finance and accounting. He's a motivational speaker. He has spoken to more than 3 million people in 30 countries. And he has written a book with 2 toes. And he has raised millions of dollars to build schools in poor countries. So let me ask you a question. Would you say he's successful? Would you say he's successful? Would you say he's successful? Yes or no? Yes.